Hello, everyone, and welcome to Marvel-ous Movie Mondays, the podcast all about Marvel things every Monday. This Monday, we have two very special surprises. One, as you can see, we are in the same room, in the same place. There's no wall. I can put my hands in her frame, and she can put her hands in mine. My best friend, Kelsey, co-host Kelsey Kilpatrick, Marvel expert, is here in person
gosh.
This, what?
Marvel expert. I mean,
we have a podcast. You're more of an expert than I am. Our second surprise is that a few minutes from now, I will be dropping a second video, our Black Widow review. That's right, we saw the movie. We are doing a double review today. We're doing Loki episode 5 now. Mm-hmm. We're going to go see Black Widow. We're going to come back here and do Black Widow episode 1, which is the only episode because it's not a TV show. I'm stumbling all over my words because I don't have any notes prepared. I'm going all just free Shavakadu. Anyway, I'll let you talk, Kels. How are you doing? Welcome to the studio.
Oh my god, thanks for having me in your apartment, Dill.
The studio.
Your studio apartment.
It's not a studio apartment. My roommates, they are out. They gave us the polite respect of having the respectful, polite space to film this podcast and make it happen in front of this beautiful brick wall. Mm-hmm. We can't get you the orange bricks that you always see every week, but I think these bricks will do because we're in the same spot. It'll be nice to kind of just talk about it, not through a screen and distance. We got to make sure to play to the camera, but also you're in the room, so I got to make sure to also talk to you as well.
It's okay.
Kels, we start every week off with some Marvel news.
Yeah, we do.
What is some of the big news happening right now in the Marvel stratosphere?
Today, 4 hours ago, exactly, we got
when they're listening to it, 4 hours and 4 days.
Yeah, you're right.
The day we're recording this.
The day we're recording, it's been 4 hours to this minute that we got a What If trailer.
That's right.
For the new series.
The new series, which premieres August 11th. That's my sister's birthday. That is a day before your birthday. So it's going to be an eventful week in August, and we will talk about the plans for August next week on next week's episode, just talking about the rest of the schedule until What If comes out, and then when What If comes out and what our schedule is going to be like going forward, because you are going abroad, so we got to pre-tape some episodes or maybe get other guests lined up to kind of maybe substitute.
You're replacing me?
I said we'd talk about it. We'll talk about it. We haven't decided.
Oh my god, I'm getting kicked off.
I'll be honest, I don't think
show.
you could ever replace Kelsey. So instead, it would just be a Marvel-ous Movie Monday with just Dill, not Kelsey and Dill. And I don't think that would do much justice. But we promise you every Monday, so we're going to make it work. We're going to figure it out. But today, you're here to talk about Loki. Let's talk about the What If trailer, though. What do you think of it?
Super exciting. Mm-hmm. 3 things that I'm really excited to explore. 3 different kind of plot lines they teased for us was what if Killmonger was in the desert with Tony Stark and saved him from that bomb? Mm-hmm. What would that look like? What if Peggy Carter took up the mantle of being Captain America and was Captain Carter? Or the last one was if T'Challa was the head of the Guardians.
With Yondu,
With Yondu, and it wasn't Peter Quill, which that one I'm having the most difficulty connecting the dots as to how that happens.
And the thing is, I don't think we're going to know the dots until we see it. Like, I think it's just really like they're just picking out of a hat. Like, all right, let's pair them up. I'm really excited. And also, this is Chadwick Boseman's last performance. It is his last.
Really?
Yeah, that was his voice.
He did voice for it?
It was his voice in the trailer.
I couldn't tell if it was like a sound-alike.
His last anything he's ever done, but his last time we'll ever see him on screen. So, unless they bring back some archive of him. But anyway, the last time he's acted for a new project will be this one. Mm. So, I'm going to be emotional, and it made me a little emotional, but I'm very excited nonetheless. So, are we ready to transition now into Loki?
Episode 5.
Episode 5. She's got her journal. I actually see her notes now.
Brought my journal with me to New York.
This is fun. I'm already having a good time.
Oh, good. I'm glad, Joe. I'm having fun, too.
Good. So let's talk about Loki, episode 5. Kelsey, take it away with your little short synopsis.
It's right here, right in the back.
Oh, she wrote it.
I'm all out of pages, people. I need a new notebook.
So if you're watching this and you want to support the show, send Kelsey every notebook alive. Fill her mailbox with notebooks.
I love notebooks, so that wouldn't even be the worst thing that happened. Although I did see a TikTok of someone, there's like a whole Marvel collection right now of like composite notebooks and everything for school.
People, I don't have the money, but you do. Send it to Kelsey.
I mean,
we will not put your address. You just got to try to, you got to just give it to an owl and hope that he drops it off at the right place. We will not put your address out here on the internet. But
get your head wig ready and let's make some magic happen. Okay, Loki, episode 5. It is called Journey into Mystery, which right off the bat is like an Easter egg.
Yeah, do you know what it is?
It's a comic. It's the name of the comic book.
It's the first comic where Thor and Loki are together.
Oh.
They meet, I guess, even though... Yeah, I guess it's the first comic where they meet because they're not technically brothers.
In childhood?
Yeah, it's that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so nice. I haven't read it, but I just know other critics' reviews have pointed out. They're like, oh, that's not very subtle, but it's a cool Easter egg. So.
Alrighty, Loki, episode 5, Journey into Mystery. Hell bent on trying to find the creator of the TVA, Sylvie ends up in the void with Loki, where she believes she can beat the monster Goliath and go to the end of time.
That's right. I read those words. She hit them exactly on the mark.
Yeah, sometimes I know how to read.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on the episode in general, Kelsey? Because I very much enjoyed it. You could see my enthusiasm about talking about it. Oh.
I liked it.
Just liked it?
No, I liked it.
Okay.
I've liked other episodes more.
Okay.
I think episode 2 has honestly been my favorite.
2?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because it's still kind of setting everything up. There's still that intrigue.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what do you think of this one, though? Like, beyond just liking it, like...
I liked it. I thought it was fun, all the different Lokis.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that everything that was getting led up to, we weren't going to see. That was the only downside.
It felt like a penultimate.
You know,
it felt like the 11 o'clock number.
Yeah. Right at the end, I was like, yeah, but we're about to cut to credits right now. I know we're not going to actually see who's in this building right now. You know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So.
But I honestly kind of like that because it almost felt like half of a finale. Like if we were to get a 2-hour movie, this is just from action-packed throughout. But there were also moments where they had those intimate character moments, which I really like. This whole show has been really good at just giving the characters time and space to just kind of relate to each other and talk. And we'll get to one qualm that I have about the Loki-Sylvie conversation, aside from the fact that we are both very much not shipping them romantically. But but I do have one little thing, one little gripe with that. But we'll get there when we get there.
Alrighty, so we started with a cold open.
That's right.
We kind of have these nice weird camera shots throughout the TVA.
Oh, yeah, it was like Black Panther-ish. It just kind of it was like the world turning upside down, which is exactly what happened.
Literally. And then they took us through this, the void, this dilapidated city place. I called it the dilapidated NYC. Dilapidated is my favorite word ever because it's a real word and it doesn't sound like it, and I love words like that. I wrote down a dilapidated NYC, even though it's not really NYC. It's just where all these things go. Right. The only thing that made me think it might be NYC is because we do see Sanctum from Doctor Strange. It's one of the buildings, and we do see a Stark Tower, which I think we'll have to talk about with Easter eggs.
Yeah, for sure.
And then basically Loki has all the questions we have. Who are you? Where are we? What are we doing? What's going on? And classic Loki just says, this is a void, that's Goliath, and we're his lunch. Let's go. And the Loki credits roll. So we're caught up to speed now as the audience members. Mm-hmm. Scene 1, we're back at the TVA with Sylvie threatening Ravonna. Ravonna says she doesn't know who's really in charge, and Ravonna says that pruned things end up in another spot on the timeline where they can't continue to grow. So basically, they don't get eliminated out of existence. It's almost like that thing in science class where you were taught matter can't be created or destroyed. So they just kind of have to put them somewhere else where they're going to get eaten up by a cloud anyway. Right. So it doesn't matter what happens.
So I have a question. Do you think she's telling the truth? Do you think she really has no idea? I mean, I get this is going into theories, but since we're here and we're
for sure.
A different setup and structure. Let's talk about it now. Do we think Ravonna really knows who's in charge of this, or do you think she's telling the truth here that she has no idea who's behind it and she's just as blindsided by all of us?
I think that she really doesn't know who's in charge because part of her kind of the plot in this episode is her, she tells Miss Minutes right at the end, you need to tell me who started all of this because I need to find them before Sylvie does. That's her end goal. Yeah. I feel like if she knew who it was, she would just be like, Miss Minutes, put me on course for this location at this time. I got to go see him,
True. I'm just wondering if maybe that's a mislead on the directors to mislead us. But I do see what you're saying. Miss Minutes herself was which first off, Miss Minutes is back, everyone.
She was
Ladies and gentlemen, she is back.
I knew you'd be happy.
I was very happy. My Halloween costume is back. So, it's interesting. I think as we talk more, we'll kind of pieced together some theories as to who might be behind it. But I thought it was interesting how she was kind of like, I have no idea what's going on. But at the same time, she's still targeting Sylvie so much. Like she's trying to get rid of her and prune her. So I really don't know.
I think she must know something, because there has to be a reason why she's so still loyal to these people. Why she hasn't pulled a B-15 and completely just been like, everyone's been lying to us. Like, why are you, like, who am I being disloyal to? You've imprisoned me for being disloyal, but to who? Don't know her.
That's a good point.
So basically, they decide to team up. Besides, for lack of Sylvie's better judgment, they decide to team up, her and Ravonna. We cut back to this void place where we see Loki, Kid Loki, Classic Loki, and Boastful Loki kind of walking through this field. And Alligator Loki,
you
can't forget him. Can't forget Alligator Loki. Literally, every time I saw him just like waddle somewhere, I was like, this alligator, I can't. I laughed every time.
The thing is, I think I laughed at it because it's just like, it's so ridiculous. But at the same time, the CGI alligator, like it looks very much like a CGI alligator. They've never done animals well. I mean, the rhinos in Black Panther look atrocious. The panthers in Black Panther look atrocious. Like, they're not the best at animals. So like that kind of took me out of it at times. But you know, it was the very minute, most minute of minute. You know. Yeah.
Right. My favorite thing about the alligator Loki is that Loki says, I woke up with a variance of myself plus an alligator, which I'm heartbroken to report I didn't even find all that strange. That was like the best line of the whole episode, because it's like, at this point, that doesn't even surprise me that there's an alligator version of myself. Basically, we learn that Eliath is there to just eat up all the branch realities, all the Nexus events that get sent there. And you can't create a Nexus event in this void, because regardless of what happens, you're gonna get eaten up by Eliath anyway.
But you can temp pad out of there, which is good. So there is a way out of there. It's just they have to be able to have that way, that key.
We find out that Kid Loki is kind of like the king of all Lokis here, because he has the Nexus event of all Nexus events, which is the fact that in his universe he killed Thor.
Which is crazy, because like you would, even though Loki is powerful, when you watch those Thor movies, it's very clear Thor, you can't mess with Thor. Even Hulk couldn't mess with Thor to an extent. So it's like, I think Loki, the fact that Kid Loki killed Kid Thor, I guess it would be. Right? Like, that's crazy. And it was just so funny, because you would think, looking at these guys, that probably Boastful Loki makes most sense. It's like the leader, just because he's got the brawn. Or maybe Classic Loki because he's the oldest, but you would never go for Kid Loki first. But
I love that. I love that
choice.
dynamic. For sure. So then they kind of crawl down into this hideout where we kind of like get this camera view going down through the dirt, where we spot a few things I guess we'll talk about in Easter eggs. Scene 3, this is where I wrote Miss Minutes returns. Sylvie wants her to pull files all about the void. Originally, they were like, well, let's pull files all about the beginning of time. And Sylvie's like, fuck that. I don't even want to know about the beginning of time. I want to know what this void is, where you sent Loki, because at some point Ravonna tells her that Loki might be alive. And she's like, well, then that's my priority, getting to him or saving him or doing whatever. So then they start talking about how it's damn near impossible to get through this void. Whatever on the other side of it, everything that goes through this void never returns. That it's absolutely just not an option going through this thing, right? But then sneaky Miss Minutes is like, oh, but what about the void spacecraft? And Ravonna's like, oh, yes, the void spacecraft that you should pull files for right now. And it should take the amount of time that it takes for the guards to come in. It was just complete bullshit. And we almost had Sylvie fooled, but she realized at the last minute that they were not being truthful.
So I have a question. How much do you think Miss Minutes knows?
Miss Minutes has got all the files. She's got to know everything.
Could Miss Minutes be the one?
Listen, I watched this episode with someone and they said the exact same thing. And I was like, my first reaction was, I will be extremely disappointed if Miss Minutes is the one that's behind all this.
I think it would too, just because there's like something endearing about her. It's too much of a betrayal for me.
That's like too campy, I think. It's like, oh, it's me, the Southern clock that's been, you're on trial for your crimes. It's me. Ha ha ha. And I'm like, wow. Is that a good Miss Minutes?
That's very good.
I was trying my best.
I'll do the Owen Wilson impressions. You keep the Tara Strong impressions. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Actually, a friend that I watched it with said the same thing. So that's where I was like, I just don't know. And he's like, yeah, no, it's totally Misfits. With Zach.
Oh.
So, and who'd you watch it with? Dave?
Dave.
Yeah. So, again, we are friends with Marvel people who are all on this whole Miss Minutes train, and it might be true, but part of me is just like, I don't know.
In that castle, in that Hogwarts knockoff, can you imagine if just like an animated Miss Minutes turns around and it's like, oh, so you found me? Like, I would literally be like, this is the dumbest thing Marvel's ever done, I think.
Really? Because we're fans of the Mandarin twist.
Yeah,
we are fans of Trevor Slattery. If you haven't seen our villains ranking, go up to the top left corner, right corner, and look at our villains ranking, because Trevor Slattery placed pretty high.
Yeah.
So we're fans of the fake out if it's justified and it makes sense. I won't be mad because Miss Minutes is just such a boss. So obviously she knows what she's doing. I trust her. I trust the process. But but I'd rather her be heroic at the end of the day.
Yeah, me too. So then just as the guards break in, Sylvie puts 1 and 2 together and realizes that she can take this tempad that she snatched up from Ravonna and prune herself. And even one of the guards says, I love how they put it. They were like, she self-pruned. And I was like, yeah, I guess. Sure. Yeah. But then did you catch that Ravonna also lied to the guards and said, great, so then she's dead too. Now we have nothing to worry about. Let's go.
Right. So I'm wondering if she knew if she took the temp pad or not.
She's just trying to. She did because she said at some point she was like, she has my temp pad.
Okay, so she probably knows she's come back. She didn't want to tell all the guards.
She was probably not banking on Sylvie like risking pruning herself just in case on the off chance that Ravonna was lying to her about things that get pruned.
And there's a chance Ravonna hasn't been to that beyond yet, so she doesn't know because no one has come back from it. No one has.
Yeah.
So we think.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so she probably thinks maybe like, oh, well, she's not going to survive. She's
going to get eaten by
Orion, whatever his name is.
Goliath.
For
a second, I thought they were saying Goliath.
I thought they were saying a lion. Like a lion guards these places. I was like, it looks like a giant lion.
That's a lion.
That's a lion.
The giant purple cloud. That's a lion.
You must run from the lion.
Okay, so then we're in the Loki cave. They're drinking Roxy wine, which is seemingly got to be from Rock's Cart, the superstore that we were in episode 2.
Oh, good catch.
Oh my God, really? You didn't think that? Yeah. Thank you so much, Dill.
Good catch.
Sorry for audio listeners. Our
high five. One more. Cover your ears. Oh, that was weak. So you're welcome.
It was because I wasn't looking.
If you didn't cover your ears, you're welcome.
You're saved.
Yeah.
Classy. So then we kind of find out like how each of the Lokis got there. Boastful Loki kind of goes off on this tangent about how he vanquished Captain America and Iron Man and took the 6 Infinity Stones.
That was a thunderstruck. Oh my God, Kelsey. So we were recording in the middle of a thunderstorm.
Oh my goodness. I am like a cat.
So you would not survive Orion.
Scaredy cat.
Goliath.
No, I would not survive Goliath.
That's probably what it sounded like. That's one thing. I was like, it must be loud as hell down there.
In the void?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got this loud, thunderous
and then you have, like, things appearing from different Nexus events at any time. Like,
you got a fucking alligator.
You got to keep track of the Loki alligator.
If you know what noise an alligator makes, I've never been attacked by one, so comment below, because I don't know.
Yeah, spell out what noise an alligator makes in the comments.
Phonetically do a horse, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. We don't really know if Boastful Loki's telling the truth or not, but because the alligator says like, liar. He was classic Loki was like, that's alligator growl for liar. But then we find out that classic Loki didn't try to kill Thanos in the last moments of Thor Ragnarok or the beginning of Infinity War, rather. He did his entire Loki cycle as planned up until that moment. And instead of going up to him with a dagger, he created a projection of himself and was able to kind of hide in the shadows and let Thanos do his thing. He says that he kind of faked his own death in the way. So even though he wasn't dead, Thor still believed he was dead. I guess Thanos believed he was dead as well.
Yeah, everyone did probably.
Thor believed he was dead. So the events of Infinity War and everything were able to go on as have to take place as usual. But as soon as he, when he ends up, on the lone planet, the second he wants to come back in contact with people, and he says he was lonely, that's the thing that wanted to bring him off the planet, that's when the TVA showed up. So it's just this ongoing theme of Loki trying to like form connections with people and not being able to because nope, that's not your place in society.
Which is terrible. And that's like one of the main themes. That's why we like the show so much, because we get these sincere moments where we go, oh, Loki.
So then they kind of cheers to being the god of outcasts, and I just love how Kid Loki is drinking a juice box. Yes. That was very cute.
And we'll get there for Easter eggs, but it's a very specific juice box.
Okay, great, because I didn't write down. I saw that it was a high C, but
it was a high C ecto cooler. Okay, we'll get here now.
Okay,
an ecto cooler was a drink that came out with Ghostbusters in the 80s. It was a drink. It was a green high C. So it was made by High C, just like
this really came out in the real world.
Yeah. So like how like Coke has like owned Sprite. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like that. Like High C owned ecto cooler, and it was this green drink. It was discontinued, and then when the 2016 movie came out, Ghostbusters, they brought it back for a few months, and then it disappeared again. I have a friend who's a very big Ghostbusters fan, Chris. If you're listening, this is reference to you. We were in a show together, and it was around Christmas time, so we did like this gift exchange type Secret Santa thing.
Yeah.
And he got a whole thing of ecto cooler. Someone found the recipe and made him ecto cooler. So it is a soda, like a high C kind of fruit drink, green drink that was inspired by Ghostbusters that went out of production. So it was a nice little Easter egg to, again, all this nostalgia that we're seeing. There were a few other Easter eggs that I have written down, just things from the past that don't exist anymore. Because the whole thing about this void is that it's all the things that have been wiped away from the current timeline. So there is now ecto cooler. We can now blame the TVA for getting rid of ecto cooler. So any Ghostbusters fans who like ecto cooler, blame Miss Minutes. No. Blame Ravonna and the TVA. Do not blame Miss Minutes. I will. No, but that must be where ecto cooler went. It did not just get discontinued. It literally got vanished from the timeline.
Wiped from existence. So wow, what a fun fact! I love that.
Maybe for next episode I'll make some ecto cooler, even though the recipe doesn't exist probably. Well, someone got it. So
so obviously our Loki is not content with just hanging out in this pit and living out the rest of his days in this void. He's like, guys, we're good at escaping just as good as we are at being the god of mischief or the god of outcasts or whatever. Like, we can get out of this because I met a woman variant of us and she's just the coolest and I gotta get back to her.
She is so cool.
I love how classic Loki. Some people kind of found found this comment a little polarizing, but once he says, have you ever met like a female version of us? And classic Loki says, no, that sounds terrifying. I took it as a compliment because I'm like, yeah, it's because she's so badass and smart that she would be like the worst of all Lokis. Where some people were like, well, why would Loki, who is like, gender fluid, even care that Sylvie's a girl or whatever?
Well, and it's also different variants. So different variants have different ranges, I guess, of emotion, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. But that's a good point. No, that's a good point for people to get upset about it or like that comment. I guess that's just, something that they probably didn't think was that polarizing of a comment. That ended up being a conversation piece.
Like I said, I took it as a compliment because I'm like, yeah, you should be terrified of Sylvie because she's the bomb.com.
Yeah, she is.
So Loki kind of sets off on his plan to kill Goliath and get out of there. But before he can get too far, he opens up the hatch to just a mosh pit of other Lokis. One being one that looks exactly like him, but he's in the President Loki getup.
The one from all the trailers that everyone thought was going to be this
Tom Hiddleston, our Loki, but it's still Tom Hiddleston. It's just
not the main
different.
Loki, Tom Hiddleston.
So then we are scene 5 where we wake up with Sylvie. She's in the void now. She wakes up in a school bus and she starts running away from Goliath as he tries to kind of engulf her, and she kind of latches onto one of his very misty branches and is able to kind of enchant him for a hot second, where we're able to get a few flashes of this very ancient looking. I literally wrote down, we quickly see what looks like Hogwarts in the distance because it really does. And then a pizza delivery car rides up to her rescue, and we see that who is behind the wheel? None other than
the Mr. Carr himself, Mr. Lightning McQueen, Owen Wilson. Oh yeah.
I didn't even think of cars when this happened.
Well, because it looks like the Pizza Planet truck.
Yeah.
So I thought Pizza Planet cars, because the Pizza
Pixar
fans, the Pizza Planet truck is in every Pixar movie.
Yeah.
It's an Easter egg in every Pixar movie.
Just like that ball.
Just like the Luxo ball, yes. And so maybe this is a homage to Lightning McQueen. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe,
Wow.
probably.
So cool, guy.
He probably saw that pizza truck and was like, "Are you guys kidding me?" Honestly, I was talking about with James. He was like, "I'm just so disappointed that like Owen Wilson hasn't said wow yet." And I was like, honestly, if I was Owen Wilson, I would go into every new project and be like, "I'm not saying it. If you have it in the script, take it out because I'm not saying wow." But then I was like, you know what? The last shot of this whole thing, the last end credit scene that we get, has to be him standing in front of a jet ski, and he just goes.
I think better yet, he should be riding the jet ski on the ocean, and they should zoom in on him, and at the very last shot, wow, credits roll.
Okay.
Like wow, like just wow.
Yeah.
Because he's riding a jet ski. It's gonna end with him riding a jet ski. This time next week, if he's not riding a jet ski, you'll see two very sad. They will be in separate places, but two very sad podcasters.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I am not going to be sad if there's no jet ski at the end of
There's got to be. They're talking about it too much.
Yeah.
For there not to be.
Yeah.
So then we find out that this swarm of Lokis found out where their, hideout was because boastful Loki betrayed Kid Loki to take over the throne. And then President Loki betrays him and says, well, actually, you're not taking the throne. I'm taking the throne. And then the army of Lokis is like, but actually, you're not taking the throne because we're overthrowing you. And it's just this, back and forth of Lokis betraying Lokis. And I would like to say I just listened to our podcast on episode 4 on the train ride here. And I did say that all the Lokis were going to be like, I'm not the king. You're not the king. I'm the king. No, I'm the king. All this stuff. So
call it.
I'm just like to say that I'm good at predicting things.
So,
I don't know.
And then we see who gets the last laugh in that.
I don't know. Who does?
Well, the alligator chomps off.
Oh, yeah,
President Loki's hand.
Yeah.
That was quite exciting.
Yeah, you're right. It's my next.
Well, I was trying to segue into your next point because I saw it as well.
Oh, okay. Right, because we're in the same room.
We're in the same room, so I can share off your notes.
Alligator Loki eats President Loki's hand, which was very satisfying to watch. And then they all just start breaking out into a fight. Classic Loki casts a projection of Kid Loki, Alligator Loki, our Loki, and himself, so they're able to escape. And then whenever Loki, so then they kind of just start walking off to, take over Goliath. And Kid Loki says, whenever Loki tries to change, they're just sent here to die, which I thought was very sad because it's true.
Because no one's ever left. But they've done such a good job surviving and it's a testament to the fact that they're the only really people there are the Lokis because everyone else just, when they got zapped away, they just must have died because they just, I guess, they weren't trickstery enough or clever. That's the word, not trickstery. Clever enough to get out of it. But the Lokis are gods of mischief. They're meant to, escape death, cheat death if they can.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's pretty cool that Mobius did survive as long as he did. I'm glad he was able to, because I was really worried when I saw just the Lokis. I was like, I knew he was still around. He had to be, but I was worried. I was like, I don't want to see him die now that he is back.
Yeah, for sure. No, he better not be the sacrificial play right at the end.
Well, he's gone. He's back at the TVA now. I think he's
right,
okay.
But who's stopping any one of those people from really taking him out without Loki by his side?
If they take him out, though, he'll just go back there. So if Loki and Sylvie can fend off Orion, then
a lion,
Goliath, then maybe they won't have to worry about ever getting pruned again.
We'll see.
No. Unless Miss Minutes is a really bad chokehold, and then he's screwed.
So then we cut back to Mobius and Sylvie basically just catches him up on her plan, which is to get to the heart of Goliath so that she can enchant it and get to the other side of whatever is on the other side of Goliath. We cut back to classic Loki, Alligator Loki, Kid Loki, and our Loki all setting off to take to do their plan of killing it. And they're like, oh, we just need to wait for it to go to something big. And then we'll, sneak back around the other side. So then this ship appears that we'll talk about later. Goliath engulfs it, and they're all kind of just standing there thinking, oh my God, we can't kill this thing. This thing's crazy. This is a crazy plan we have. This will never work. But who's there just in time to save the day? Sylvie and Mobius come riding up in their pizza truck, and Sylvie lets Loki know that they don't she's like, that's a horrible plan. Like killing it, you're gonna go into a knife fight with a giant cloud. Like no, like I'm going to enchant it.
You're gonna give it paper cuts, like
no, yeah, literally.
Right.
And my favorite moment from this scene is when, actually, two favorite moments. At some point, Mobius says, "Wow, you throw a rock out here, you hit a Loki."
Wow, he does say it.
Did he say "wow"?
But you just said "wow." Maybe you just said it.
Maybe I just said it paraphrasing.
Yeah, I feel
but
like
I don't know.
Maybe it was in passing, so maybe he has said.
Did he say "wow"?
Let us know,
one
people.
caught on?
I'm not gonna watch this the third time, but you watch it and let us know.
And then at some point, Loki says, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "To help you, of course." And he's like, "I didn't need backup." And she was like, "Well, yes, you do." And Tom Hiddleston is just like he just makes this face of like,
right.
I don't need backup. Like I can do things myself. But it's like, no, it's okay. It's okay, Loki. You can accept help from others. We're back at the TVA where B-15 is being held in some sort of prison-like thing, and Ravona's there basically to just get any information that she can about the variant Sylvie, because she's like, you were in contact with her, you freed her, you were disloyal to the TVA, like you need to give me everything that you can. And B-15 is just like, listen, she wants vengeance. She wants to take down the TVA. And you know what? She doesn't just want it like you do. She needs it. And that's why she's going to win.
That was a good line. That was a really good, like Marvel writers.
I would just like to say the character development that B-15, like this complete 180 we have with her, she's like becoming one of my favorite characters.
She went from like the henchman to like the one who was kind of like butting heads with Loki in the second episode to like just this fully changed character. That moment last week was just so good too, with her in the rain outside the market. Just very, very good character development all around for everyone.
So this is when Ravonna asked Miss Minutes to get all the files on the beginning of time, because she's like, I need to get to this person before Sylvie does, because God only knows what's going to happen. And so hopefully we find more about Ravonna in the next episode, because I'd really like to know what her intentions are.
Yeah, we'll talk at the end of like what we think is going to come in the next episode, but I think we're going to have to get the end of like Ravonna's full story, and then we're going to have to get some sort of destruction of the TVA, them get past Goliath. I don't know why I can never remember it.
No, it's okay.
Because it sounds like Goliath, and then I think of Ted Mosby and Goliath National Bank. It sounds like Orion, which like Orion's belt. It sounds like a lion, like R. So it's just hard.
A lion, as in like roar.
Like as in king, as in Mufasa. As in Simba.
Yeah.
As in Nala.
Yeah.
Sarabi.
Go ahead.
Those are the only lions.
I
Scar.
want you to keep naming lions.
The Cowardly Lion.
What's the lion from Narnia?
The Aslan. Then Aslo in Epic Movie. Played by the late, great... Oh, man, I'm missing his name. What is his name? He's in WALL-E. Oh, my God. Fred Willard. Fred Willard. Played by the late, great Fred Willard. Not Fred Armisen. Those are some lions.
Anyway... we have this great little scene where Mobius is talking to Kid Loki, and classic Loki, Alligator Loki is also there.
Great moment.
And they're having this like sweet little exchange where like Kid Loki asks him like, well, what are you going to do once you get back to the TVA? And he's like, well, I'm just going to, burn it to the ground or whatever he says.
Yeah.
And classic Loki's so like, just like that, you are going to turn your back on the thing that you've been working your whole life with. And he just says, it's never too late to change. And again, one of those classic themes we've been getting this whole series, right? So then I wrote down Loki and Sylvie sitting in the tree.
Sitting on the ground.
They're sitting
with
on the
BLA
ground.
And KET.
What is
blanket?
Oh, I was like still talking, so I didn't even like hear the first few letters you said.
Yeah, you want to talk about that scene? Because that's where my qualms come.
Okay.
And I just, do you want to talk about it before I...
Well, Loki conjures himself a blanket, and they both are kind of having this heart-to-heart about how they really don't have, like, loved ones or friends or family, and they kind of decide that they're going to, like, lean on each other a little bit during these trying times. He makes his blanket a little bit bigger so they can get snugly warm.
Yes. So, first off, the conversation is beautiful. The moment between them is beautiful.
Okay.
The awkward kind of tension there that we thought was sexual tension, but I think is just literally just them not having love in their lives at all. They don't know how to have friends. Not even friendship. Yeah. Exactly. It's like that, just kind of like, oh, what is it like to actually have someone who actually enjoys spending time with me?
Yeah.
My thing. Why do frost giants need blankets?
Oh.
Aren't they always cold? Or aren't they okay with the cold? They're frost giants.
Yeah, but I think
they're not hot giants.
I think he's a hybrid, isn't he? He's like
she's not.
He's
yeah, she's him. Yeah. Well, but you know what I'm saying?
Loki's part frost giants?
And then if you're such a magical being, why create a blanket that's super thin? Make a bigger blanket.
Yeah, she even says, "What is this? Is this a tablecloth?"
Which leads me to my thing, which is that Loki was just looking for some action because he's not cold. And he didn't make a warm enough blanket.
So
I think he was just trying to
making a move.
I think it was to make a move.
Okay.
And I know I'm gonna say right now I'm not shipping them because I do think it's weird that it's himself. But I like the idea of him finally learning to love himself through her, and just that kinship and that friendship I'm rooting for. But I think he was making a move because frost giants, they're not cold. They don't get. She goes, I'm cold. Like, no, you're a frost giant. But here's the thing. I'm all in good fun because that conversation was my favorite scene in this whole show.
Yeah.
This whole 5 episodes. That scene with them was my favorite scene. I'm making fun of it because I'm trying to be funny. I love that scene. So
I will say she does ask him, how do I know that you're not going to betray me right at the end? And he kind of makes the promise to her, like, I'm really not. But she doesn't really make it back to him.
Yeah, and again, I think it's just...
So that makes me more skeptical about Sylvie and what she might do right at the end, and not Loki, because I think Loki's whole heart is in it at this point.
I think Loki at this point.
Sylvie, I could see going rogue right at the end to like carry out her own hidden agenda.
I don't think so.
I'm like nervous.
I don't think so. I just think she's just still not there yet. Like, she didn't get the whole first 2 episodes like he did of growth. Like, I think she's still doing it, and he's fully there. I think he's about this far. She's like, oh no, she's like there. I'll do it this way. No, shoot, the camera. So he's like here, and she's still back here, and she just needs to catch up to him because he got those first 2 episodes, and then they both grew a little together. And now she just needs to.
Right, I see what you're saying.
There. Yeah.
We're flip-flopped. If you're watching on video and you're confused as to why we can't figure out which arm is our left and which one's our right, it's because the screen flips us. Anyway, so we're right in the last moments of this episode. I'm sorry, I scratched you. And Sylvie hands Loki the TemPad, which I was kind of confused about because I thought the whole plan was that they were going to do it together. I didn't know that part of the plan was him going back to the TVA to do whatever. Mm-hmm. But she hands him the TemPad, which I thought was a sweet little moment because that was the thing that they spent all of episode 2 fighting over. And the fact that she's just like, now, like, here you go. It's okay. See, we're not used to being in the same space.
I kind of hate it.
I'm
kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm just going to cry about that later.
I'm kidding.
I know, Dill. And then classic Loki and Kid Loki decide to stay behind. They're like, this is our home. We're going to stay here and like fight for it. And this is where we belong, basically.
Yeah.
Mobius
they've grown accustomed to it.
Yeah. Mobius goes back to the TVA, and right before Loki hugs him, they have this sweet little moment where he goes like, goodbye, Loki, and he holds out his hand, and Tom Hiddleston's like, nah, bring it in, man.
Such a great moment.
And he just says, thank you, my friend. And it's great. It's just all this growth, all this love, I feel. So then they carry out their plan. They realize that they don't have a big enough distraction because there's no Nexus events happening around them. So Loki tries distracting Aliyah. They realize it's not, doing its job, that it's going to engulf Sylvie as she's trying to enchant it. And classic Loki makes a sacrificial play, and he conjures up, he casts a projection of basically all of Asgard, uses all of his might, all of his powers. And Aliyah starts going after that, and Loki and Sylvie grab hands. She says, we're going to enchant it together. And he's like, I don't know how. And she's like, but you do, though, because you are me. So you have to know to some extent. And they enchant Aliyah. It's like Moses in the Red Sea in parts, or whatever that story is. I don't know.
Oh, you got it.
Okay. And the seas part. And yeah, that thing. And Hogwarts appears, and no end credit scene. So
yeah, so that's the end of the episode.
That was the end of the episode.
I will say that. So you brought up 2 of my other favorite moments. And my 3 favorite moments from this entire series came from this episode. It was the Sylvie Loki conversation with the blanket that did not need to be there because they're frost giants. The second one was that Mobius hug. I love that moment. It's because the whole series he's been kind of, they butt heads a little bit just because I think Mobius knows what Loki's capable of. He kind of wants to push him and stuff. And then He also becomes friends with him. In that last episode we saw, he put him in that jail, and then he had that full 180 turn. I just think that's a really great moment for their friendship. And then Richard E. Grant as classic Loki, that moment where he just
glorious
it is awesome. And I think that is like one of my favorite things. I mean, he's an amazing actor. Can You Ever Forgive Me? I mean, the newest Star Wars. Logan, he pops up every so often in things, and he's just amazing. That moment was so good. And it was just, because it made so much sense that he would, he's like, this is my home. I'm kind of grown accustomed to it. He already kind of made his amends already with Thor, and that's what mattered to him, and he already did. They got him sent there, but now he can just enjoy this, and now he put, it was not worth nothing, his sacrifice. So that was an incredible moment. Great. So do you have any Easter eggs, theories, anything like that?
I have.
Before we head into the last episode, which is crazy.
I have a few Easter eggs from this one.
Yeah, I did as well.
We didn't really get as many throughout this series as we did. I feel like this episode was the most we got Easter egg wise.
Oh, we got a ton. Well, because it's also a wasteland of different things, props from movies that you could have never even, put into any other show.
Exactly.
It's almost like What If is like, well, let's do all the things we can't do in the regular timeline. This feels like let's just show all the cool things from the comics that we've never put into the real stories, which I really like. So let's start with Thanos Copter.
Okay, sure.
Thanos Copter. We saw Thanos Copter.
We did see Thanos
It was very
Copter.
Cool. Which has been, the butt of a lot of jokes. A lot of people like, oh, when's Thanos going to roll up in his helicopter? Because, he wasn't going to have a helicopter. But I like how we saw that. It's like a little nod to the comic fans.
I cannot believe that there's a version where Thanos needed a helicopter to get around.
Just imagine.
Just
imagine him roll up to Wakanda. There's the thunder again. Yeah, see, Thanos, you agree. Imagine him just rolling up in his big helicopter and then just being like, should have waited for the head.
No, can't imagine that. Terrifying.
No, okay.
So my Easter egg was right from the beginning of the episode, right in the...
I jumped the gun on the Thanos
No, it's
copter.
okay. You were excited to talk about that copter. That's fine.
Yeah.
So right in our opening shots where we're, the camera's taking us across this wasteland of the void, we notice that it's the shape and the building of Stark Tower.
Right.
But if you noticed really closely, it's not the word Stark that is across the tower.
No.
Yeah.
Stank.
Oh yeah, baby. No.
Oh.
No. I wish it was Stank. Tony Stank.
Tony Stank. I got a package for Tony Stank.
You make Stanley such a smoker when you do his impression.
I've been watching a lot of Monsters at work, so I got the Roz in me.
Okay. I get
Mike
you.
Wazowski.
So it took me a few minutes because I was hell-bent on figuring out what this word was. Because it didn't, even if I couldn't make out the words, I'm like, these letters don't spell Stark. It's not the Stark Tower.
Okay.
So I spelt it out in my notes as these were the letters that I had to make out. Don't peek. I want you to be surprised. So the letters that I saw, or that I thought I saw, were Q, E, and G. And I was like, there's no way that this means anything. There's no way that these letters even make a word. But it turns out I Googled it, and Quang, I don't know how to say it because Q's usually have U's with them, and this one doesn't. Quen, that's what I'm calling it. Quang Enterprises is the company that bought the Stark Tower after Tony Stark moved to Avengers Campus. Because you know how the whole plot of Homecoming is Happy moving out all the stuff?
Cool.
So that is the company that took over Stark Tower. Okay. And some people even went a little bit further with this because the guy, the owner, the CEO of this enterprise is tied to Kang the Conqueror. Well, I don't know if you have anything.
QENG made me think of Kang, like Kang the Conqueror.
Maybe it is Kang.
Maybe it's like a subtle foreshadowing. Because we all know he's coming in one of those movies, right? Which one is it?
I don't know.
Is it Multiverse of Madness or maybe it's Spider-Man? No, it's not
Spider-Man. I thought
Spider-Man
it was Quantumania.
Maybe it's that. I thought maybe it was a little sooner. Maybe it was... is it Shang-Chi? No, it's not.
I just heard a lot of people throw out his name specifically for this. Like, a lot of people think that it's Kang the Conqueror sitting in that Hogwarts building.
And I think we have to talk about the Hogwarts building because there were two theories as to what that Hogwarts building could be. One of them was the Castle Limbo, which is the home of Kang the Conqueror. Limbo Makes a lot of sense. Castle Limbo would be in this limbo state of existing and not existing.
Sure.
Then there's also, this is a little bit of an out there thing. Doctor Doom lives at Doomstat, which this could be the intro to Doctor Doom. I think that's a little less probable.
Tell me more about Doctor Doom.
Well, that's all I really know.
Okay.
But like there were people theorizing that maybe Doctor Doom's behind it because like that looked a little bit like his castle too.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. I think that was a little far fetched because we know Kang's coming. But again, we've been on this train with Mephisto, the Power Broker, with the Taskmaster with Black Widow, which we'll talk about tonight. But like, I just think how many times are you gonna have this setup where there's like a big reveal and it ends up being like this overarching villain like a Thanos or like a Loki or anything like that. Like I don't know if it's because WandaVision, it was Agatha. This was like the show's villain is Agatha, and like Agatha is only really in WandaVision. She's not going to be in all the other things. Whereas everyone was like, it's going to be the introduction to Mephisto because Mephisto is going to be in all the other things. I'm wondering if it's going to be like we're introducing Kang here because he's going to be in all the other things, or if it's going to be like this is your villain and that's the villain for the show and the show only.
Right.
So I'm not sure. I don't know. But either way, if it's Doctor Doom or Kang, we're obviously going to see a lot more of them later. Do you have any more?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, I have a few more. So when Ravonna was telling Sylvie about how the way the void works and how life works and all that stuff, she says that the dogma believe that the timekeepers are, turning like the end of time into a utopia, something along those lines. And I was just like, dogma, like, what is that? Like, she didn't just use that word and it meant nothing. So I looked into what this, like, dogma character might be or who these people might be in the MCU. And I just kind of got, my researches brought me to this, like, very scarce page. It's all I could find, really, is that there are these people that are believed to be the enlightened soul. That's another alias that they go by. And they show up in a comic book, Wolverine Volume 2, number 177.
Look at that.
That's all I could find on them.
Cool. Anything else?
Yes.
Cool. Great.
I told you I had a few
It's
more.
an Easter egg hunt today.
So while we're going down into the Loki cave, we did see a few things. We saw right before we see the frog, we saw a shot of Mew Mew.
Mjolnir, yeah.
Mew Mew.
Okay.
And we see, yes, a tiny little frog Thor.
Frog Thor. Which was, did you look into it?
All I know is that the or like the casing that he's on that says T365. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's why it's helpful that I'm here looking at our notes.
It's the issue. It's the comic issue where Frog Thor makes his first appearance.
Oh, awesome. I also look back at a line from Ragnarok where, remember, Loki apologizes to Thor. I'm sorry for that one time I turned you into a frog.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he says he apologizes to Thor for turning into that frog that one time, and it probably was one time, but there's probably a timeline where
he just let him be a frog.
Or what if that's the timeline where Loki kills Thor and he turns him into a frog and then kills him, and that's how they both end up in the
but the frog's alive though.
Right. Well, shit.
Anyway.
So that's not it. But anyway, cool. Frog Thor. So that's an animal that looked good. I'm going to say. The alligator didn't look great, but the alligator was still a lot of fun. But the frog looked good. For a second, it took me a while to figure out that it was a frog. I was like, is that just a baby shrunken Thor? And then I was like, oh, no, that's a frog.
We only saw... Yeah, I thought it was a baby Thor,
I watched it like 7 times. That one sequence. I was like, oh, what else can I find? And it was just Mjolnir and the frog. But still, pretty cool. Yeah.
So then in the Loki cave, we see a lot of, like... gaming consoles and things like Pac-Man machine looking type of things, and there was one in the background that I pointed out that I didn't recognize. I didn't know if the MCU made it up for this shot, but it was a game called Polybius. And this is a game from the 1980s, and apparently there's this whole urban legend around it. It fits the theme of the show perfectly because there's this whole urban legend about this game that it made kids go crazy.
Yeah, in the early 80s, I believe it was in Portland, Oregon.
Yes, it was
1981.
Portland, Oregon. It was believed to be like part of like a government experiment where they were trying to like infiltrate the player's psyche. I don't know what the purpose of the game is. I don't know if it's like a pinball machine.
Right.
I don't know what's going on with this game, but that's why it was discontinued. And that's how it ended up in the void, because the TVA said, no, kids are going crazy. Got to get rid of it.
Like the Ecto-Cooler. It's just like a cool thing. Like, I'm sure there's some Crystal Pepsi down there. I'm sure there's some Shrek cereal, you know, like things that just didn't work out.
Oh my God.
Purple ketchup.
Well, like what else was like discontinued?
Was Easy Bake? No, that's back. Easy Bake Oven's back. There was something.
I feel like there's something big from our childhood that's like
Floam.
Didn't like the Wonder Balls?
No, they still have those.
No. But what's the thing that you eat and there's something inside of it? Didn't those get discontinued for a while?
The chocolate balls with the candies inside?
Yeah.
They still have those.
They still have those, but recently. Because there was like a whole thing where people were like, people were eating them and like choking on like whatever was inside.
I'm gonna look up while you keep going. I'll look up popular discontinued products.
Toys. Yeah, nice. So then
Trump the game.
Oh my God. There's got to be like a whole section in that void that's just like nonsense like that. The last thing that I have, I think it's the last thing, is this ship that I wanted to talk about, because it's the
almost like a battleship.
Yes, it's the USS Eldridge 173 that appears at Goliath. Now you have me calling it Goliath. Goliath comes down and engulfs it while Loki's trying to figure out a way to like infiltrate Goliath and kill him with his dagger. And the USS Eldridge 173 was actually a ship part of the Philadelphia experiment, where the ship was supposed to be invisible or cloaked to enemy devices. That was the whole shtick with the ship. So maybe the reason why it was really invisible is because it was snatched out of existence.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it would have been cool if they like took like a well-known ship that like went missing.
Well, that's kind of what they did with the first episode with
D.B. Cooper.
D.B. Cooper.
Yeah.
I was like, I wish they had done that a little bit more. Maybe D.B. Cooper's back at the TVA at the. Well, no, because D.B. Cooper's Loki in this universe. Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at different things. Dunkaroos, remember those?
They don't make Dunkaroos anymore.
I don't think so. Hershey's Bites, which look like little chocolate balls. Wild Cherry Jello, I guess they don't make anymore. Cream Savers, I remember those. Wow.
Every grandma like had those.
Doritos guacamole flavored, absolutely not.
Do you remember Doritos Puffs?
Wonka bars, yeah, they don't sell those anymore. The what?
Doritos Puffs.
Ugh.
They were like 3D. I think they were literally called like 3D Doritos.
Jello pudding pops.
Ew.
Banana nut Cheerios. Yeah, I don't remember any of these things. Jolly Rancher wild berry mix. Cinnamon Tic Tacs. I remember those.
They don't make cinnamon Tic Tacs anymore?
No. I mean, if you want to go to the TVA, I'm sure they have them all, but those are not on the timeline.
They're just, it's like collect them all in the TVA. How many products can they get?
I have one more Easter egg.
Okay.
So the license plate of the pizza truck is GRNWID. Grinwid, which Mark Grunwald is the Marvel writer and editor that the character Mobius is based off of. So it's like a little nice little homage. I thought it was something more. I thought it was something that maybe translated to Lightning McQueen, but it was not. And then I wrote at the bottom, why are they using blankets? They're frost giants.
And that's all.
And that's all she wrote, baby. So that was our Loki review. It's a little cut short, or this video is a little shorter because we are doing a second review in a little while for Black Widow. Any last predictions or thoughts going into this last episode? I'm just gonna let it happen.
I don't know. I don't know who's in that castle.
I think that's a good thing. I think it's
and I'm
great.
Okay with that. I think.
I think so too. Even if it is Miss Minutes. I mean, I just want them to stick the landing. Here's the thing. WandaVision, I thought stuck the landing. I thought it had a really nice emotional moment of goodbye. I thought it was great, but I didn't like the CGI fights. It was like kind of like, yeah, whatever. We've seen this before. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, thought the fights were pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I thought the speech at the end with Sam was great. It kind of ended the series on a high note, but I didn't love what they did with John Walker. So like, there's always been something in these finales that I'm just kind of like, okay, but this one I feel like we're gonna get a good finale. Like it's gonna be a pretty grand ending. Do you think Loki survives as we know him after this?
Yes.
Okay, so how do you think they funnel him back into the story?
I don't know. It's gonna have to depend on like how they take down the TVA or not.
Yeah.
And if they take down the TVA, does that mean they take down all the variants in it?
I think they would just free the variants and be like, "You're real people, go live."
And just like go back, like pick one of these multiverses to live in, have fun, kids.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. I really do not know. Do you think they will beat Eliath?
Well, they kind of already have. They have him enchanted.
Right, but now they have to kind of see what's beyond that. So you think whoever's behind the TVA is here in this like limbo state?
Yeah.
So maybe it is Castle Limbo. Maybe it's Kang the Conqueror. That's what I'm going to bet on. Just because, like, I feel like that makes more sense because he's confirmed already for another movie. It's not like a Mephisto type thing where, like, he's not been confirmed for another movie. But that's what I'm going to go off of. If it's not someone we've already met,
it's Mephisto.
It might be. No! God! I'm kidding. I'm not leaving. That was my best Schmidt from New Girl, but that was not very good.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, I just felt
mean
doing it.
It's like I have math.
God, no! Come on. Anyway. Anything about this before we go to Black Widow? I almost said Black Panther.
No.
Cool. So I will just show y'all. I got this email just now while we were recording this. See you at the movies. So
it didn't
AMC.
say anything about our location, did it?
No, that's why I made sure to show. I mean, it says the name of the theater, but it's a huge theater in New York City. I mean, everyone has been there. So yeah, we got our tickets. We're ready to go. See Black Widow. What?
This airs after the fact anyway. I'm like, is it live? And everyone just saw where we're going to the movies, but this is going to air on Monday.
Right, so it don't matter because we'll have already been.
Yes.
So why would you care?
No, that's what I'm saying.
You're making fun of yourself.
That was like a stupid moment.
So anyway, everyone, thank you. Where can they find you, Kelsey?
You can find me on Instagram at Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. You can find me on TikTok at Cause13, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cause Productions.
Anything cool to tease?
No.
Okay.
Maybe one day.
Maybe someday. We got a big summer ahead of us. Who knows? And then you can find me at Dylan_Randazzo at TikTok. No, just kidding. That's Twitter. It's hard to see the icons so far away now that we're in the same studio. Yay! First time in the full studio together podcasting live. COVID can't stop us. I hope you all are safe.
We're fully vaccinated.
Yes, no, we are fully vaccinated. And please, I hope you are following protocols. If you are in a country that is suffering, I hope we bring some comfort to your day listening to us every Monday at Dylan Randazzo 417 at TikTok and the Dill Pickle Movie Network. I'm in the midst of a 2011 retrospective that I continued on from last month. I have a lot of great videos about movies that came out 10 years ago, including Harry Potter and The Deathly Hallows Part 2, my favorite movie of 2011. There was a review for that. There's also a bunch of other stuff. There's Picture This, a show where we go through every Best Picture nominee in history. There is the Great American Film Off with Crosby, where we talk about movies depending on different categories and we fight it out and see who wins. The next show we have coming up for you is you'll hear about this for the first time because you haven't heard this yet, is Best Basketball Movies in honor of the NBA Finals and Space Jam 2 coming out next week, or this week, I guess, when you're listening to it. Oh
my God, I got the inside scoop.
Yeah, you did. You got the inside scoop. We already recorded it, and it will be airing before this airs, but you will... But
I didn't vote. I didn't put in my own basketball movie. You didn't do a poll?
No, we recorded the last episode where we announced basketball movies.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you're good. You'll put in the poll. The poll will be out Tuesday, so the day after this, for you to vote for that for Best Basketball Movie. High School Musical is allowed, and I said on the last video, if enough people want me to fight High School Musical against Crosby, you can comment in that video. So I will link that video up there in the top right corner. If you want to see me fight High School Musical for the next week for Best Basketball Film, please vote there. Anyway, you will all hear us in just a few minutes. I've already posted it, so just click on the next link. We have a Black Widow review for you. We will get into spoilers at the end of the video. So if you haven't seen Black Widow yet, watch the video. At the end, we'll say, okay, we're getting into spoiler talk. And then you can shut us off or listen to us if you've seen the movie. We're going to keep it basically spoiler-free. It's going to be a little different than these because it's a movie, so we're not going to go scene by scene by scene by scene. We're just going to kind of talk our general thoughts. We'll talk about some of the characters, some of the story. We'll discuss before we podcast what we want the structure to be. But please stay tuned. We got one more episode for you coming today on a double Marvel-ous Movie Monday. See you later.